Welcome to the Earning Freedom Podcast and to Success After Prison Podcast. I am Michael Santos with michaelsantos.com. I think it's over there. No, it's over there. And prisonprofessor.com, recording this video and audio for my brothers who are in struggle, who are living in challenges. I particularly make these episodes for individuals who either are going into the prison system, who are in prison, who have come out of prison, or really anybody who is going through struggle. In this particular episode, I'm going to continue with this, I think, is series number 29 of Success After Prison. I am reading from this new book, Success After Prison, How I Built Assets Worth $1 million within 2 years of release from 26 years inside, and how you can succeed too. Now, this book is all part of the Earning Freedom Mastermind course, sharing lessons that I learned from masterminds like Socrates and Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King and so many others, including Mahatma Gandhi, who convinced me when I was in prison that I should always strive to be the change that I want to see in the world. And the change that I want to see in the world is I want to see more people who are in prison emerge with living lives of meaning and significance and relevance. And I want to persuade legislators and other people out here why we need to reform our nation's prison system so that we're not incarcerating so many people and so that those people are not serving sentences that are so long. Now, I'm really just a one-man operation. I'm here working from my office whenever I can squeeze time away from my regular job so that I can share this message that I hope will bring actionable strategies that people in prison or people in struggle can use. Now, in the earlier episodes, I spoke a lot about my own journey, and I encourage people to listen to those episodes. If you're listening to them on the internet, really encourage you to follow me on social media and subscribe to my different platforms or channels, whether it's Facebook by liking my public page, on iTunes. I really hope that you will rate and review my show and subscribe to this show, whether it's there or on YouTube. Excuse me, I've got a cough. And unfortunately, I don't have the sophisticated editing capabilities that I can tune that out. So you got to live with the authentic message. In any event, as I said, I've been reading from this book, and I'm going to continue reading right now. Right now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my transition into Orange County, California. After I started in San Francisco and I moved down here after about a year of walking out of prison. And now I'm going to talk more about how I built my assets and got myself to this point that I hope every prisoner comes out with, building assets and controlling assets that are worth more than $1 million so that I can build a life of sustainability. So let me continue reading. I'll probably break it up in between so that I can share more messages. And now I'm on chapter 10, which is coming to the end of this book. This chapter is called Multiple Revenue Streams. And I'm reading now. Throughout this book, I have tried to share lessons I learned from masterminds. They taught me that I could advance my prospects for success if I lived in the world of reality rather than living in the world of fantasy. Now, when authorities took me into custody back in 1987, I had to live with the reality that I had made many bad decisions as a young man. While locked in the Pierce County Jail, prayers led me to the story of Socrates. And from that story, I learned to think about the avatars that would influence my prospects in the future. But instead of dwelling on challenges that my bad decisions created, I had to think about the best possible outcome. So with that vision, I could engineer a path that would take me from a jail cell through multiple decades in prison and into a life of success upon release. And that's what I'm really encouraging my listeners to do. Certainly, I wish that I had made better decisions as a younger man. If I'd made better decisions as a young man, I wouldn't have been locked in jail. But I couldn't deal with the world of wishes. No one advanced a station in life by wishing or complaining. Instead, we had to take action, disciplined action. That's what I learned from masterminds. Now, reality required that I make new decisions. And by thinking about the future, I realized that if I didn't adjust wisely in prison, I would have a very difficult time finding employment once I concluded my prison sentence. In fact, I accepted that the length of time I expected to serve might make it difficult to find any type of meaningful employment. So throughout the journey, I contemplated what resources I would need to start my life upon release. If I didn't adjust wisely, I wouldn't have anything when my term ended. I wouldn't have clothes to wear, a car to drive, a savings account, or anything. But fortunately, those decisions I made inside opened numerous opportunities, some of which I described earlier in this manuscript. But when Carol and I began, I anticipated that my prison term and criminal record would always be hanging over my head. But if I could create several different streams of income, I anticipated that I would advance our prospects for stability. So you see, again, I'm thinking all of the time, challenges that I'm going to face, but not complaining about those challenges, not crying about those obstacles, not saying it's not my fault, but instead taking action, making sure that I own it and I'm going to succeed even though I'm facing enormous obstacles. And one of them was preparing multiple income streams. Now, those who have read Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Term, which is one of my earlier books, will know that the stock market had an influence on my adjustment through prison. I wanted to speculate in stocks again after my release, but I had priorities. Although I traded in stocks and opened opportunities to build an additional income stream, there were a lot of inherent risks, and I wasn't prepared to take those risks until Carol and I had more stability. And I'll explain a little bit about that as I go on. Now, by early 2015, so I'm saying when I first got out of prison, I wasn't ready to trade in the stock market. But by early 2015, our asset base had grown. I mean, I told you earlier about this piece of real estate that we purchased in San Francisco, one of the hottest real estate markets in the United States. And I told you how soaring real estate values up there lifted our equity. The house we purchased for $390,000 by early 2015 was worth more than $525,000. And with the rental income from our tenants, we had paid down our mortgage every month. So our equity in that property by late 2015 was more than $200,000. But in addition to the paper equity that we had in real estate, by living frugally and saving income that I received from speaking events, from consulting, from ghostwriting, and from my employment, we built a high balance in our savings account. In fact, when the account balance grew to exceed more than $200,000, I decided to open this brokerage account outside. I mean, at that point, I'd already had a net worth of more than $400,000, and the time felt right to start speculating with the market. But that turned out to be a really bad decision. I mean, I traded aggressively for several months in 2015. But some of those bad trades, I made some bad trades in very highly volatile stocks. Some of you may know about those stocks: Twitter, the social media site, and Alibaba, a Chinese internet company. It resulted in me losing more than $40,000. It just vanished from our stock portfolio as those stocks crashed. So once I'd lost that money, I just decided to stop trading in stocks, at least for the time being. And this is an important lesson. Always understand, as I said, your strengths and weaknesses. And the reality was that the stock market was not going to be my strength back here in society. I just had to focus on the goal that I'd set with Carol. Since I'd set a goal of earning my first $1 million by August of 2018, that's where I needed to put my energy. I needed to think prudently about how every risk would threaten every opportunity, because every decision comes with an opportunity cost. Maybe it's a threat, maybe it's an opportunity, maybe it's a risk. I needed to consider all of that. But with stock markets becoming very volatile, rising and falling by hundreds of points every day. I mean, yesterday, for example, December the 20th or January the 20th, 2016, the market at one point was down more than 450 points. And now look at it. Today, it's up 240 points. No, 115 points. You see, it's really crazy out here. And I just realized that's not a strength for me to be looking at my age. I mean, I got out of prison, I was pushing 50 years old. Now I'm 52 years old, and I just need to be focused on what I said was important. Always focus on the values and the goals. So besides that, I had this commitment to build a digital product strategy. So the work I had to complete for clients who retained me, coupled with responsibilities of creating regular podcasts, together with responsibilities of ghostwriting projects that I was doing for other people. All of this made me I couldn't focus on the stock market anymore. So I just liquidated my account. And after liquidating that account, I decided to just take a pause. I needed to say, what can I do that gives me a little bit of safety? And so I'd purchased, while I was trying to find my place, I'd purchased a certificate of deposit in the spring of 2015, wanting to, pause and look around for other opportunities. And that wasn't going to get me ready for retirement. So I had to start looking elsewhere. And that's where I get to where I started controlling more assets. At the time, as I said, I had about $200,000 in liquid assets, plus my real estate up in Northern California. And I decided, you know what? I'd made more money in real estate than I had through working in only 2 years, and I needed to get more investment real estate. The 000 credit score that I had when I walked out of prison, it had changed. So with our tenants giving us money every month, we could pay our mortgage down, and as a consequence of me just living in the world, paying all of my bills on time, I was able to build my credit score up to the mid 700s. So Carol and I decided to use those strengths, the combination of our good credit, the combination of the cash savings that we had put together, the combination of our solid tax returns from us both working, all of that together gave me a strength. And I could use that strength to start investing in more real estate. So I wasn't looking to get real estate for me to live in. I already own one property there, but I'm renting down here in Orange County. Instead, I decided to consider the pros and cons of investing in real estate. So on the plus side, if I invested in real estate where I had tenants, I could see how effectively real estate was going to advance our net worth. I hope this makes sense to you. If you want to, I hope that I'm not speaking too fast, but I'm doing my best to show you that even though I was in prison for a long time, I could become fluent with what I needed to do to make it happen out here, just like you can do. So in 2015, we knew that more than half of the equity we had built since my release from prison in 2013, it came from our real estate investments. And that means we made more money while we were sleeping than while we earned from our work. So I wanted to purchase additional properties just like that I'd purchased from Chris and Seth. I mean, if I would have been able to purchase 5 of those properties when I first got out of prison, instead of just purchasing the one, they all would have appreciated at the same rate. So 5 of those properties, one increased my equity by $200,000. If I would have purchased 5 of them, I'd already would have earned more than $1 million, at least on paper, and I could liquidate those properties, within a matter of 30 days. The market is so hot out there in San Francisco. So I wanted to look around, figuring out where else could I go to invest my resources in a manner that didn't benefit me for today, but instead would benefit me in the years to come. That meant I wasn't going to buy a house to live in, because it wasn't about buying a house for me. I was thinking about the broader market. I was thinking about how could I provide value and satisfy a housing need for other people. Well, here are the advantages of me doing that. By buying property that other people could live in, I could use my cash to buy the house, put a tenant in it that would give me an income, and then use that income, go borrow money against the house, get another mortgage, and with that mortgage, buy more property. And so that's what I did. I bought my first property, not here where I live in Orange County, but in San Bernardino County, where properties are less expensive. It's a good, solid, working class environment. And I'd find tenants, and those tenants then would pay me rent. And from that rent, I was able to pay my mortgage. So there was a number of benefits that happened here. And these benefits mean that I started to advance my own equity. The first house I bought for actually, it's the second, because the first house I bought was in San Francisco. The first house I bought was for $160,000, and I bought it for just out of my own account. After I paid for it, wrote a check for that property, sent a wire transfer, and bought the property, got a tenant in there that was paying me $1,200 a month, and that $1,200 a month gave me more income. So with that income, I could go borrow more money, right? Because I'd only had about $200,000 at the time. So after I spent 160, I didn't have much money left. And I just used that money to go buy the first house. Then I got a tenant in there that gave me $1,200 a month in income. Now I can go borrow money against that $160,000 property. And I borrowed $120,000 and went and bought my second house. And the second house I bought, I think, for $215,000, rented that house out for $1,600 a month. And then I got a mortgage on that property, and I bought my third house. And my third house, this would be my third house in San Bernardino. I bought the third house for $155,000, tenant in there for $1,200. I didn't have to get a mortgage for that one. So now I own one property in Northern California that's appreciating in value, one property that I bought in San Bernardino that's appreciating in value, and a tenant's paying for it, another property in San Bernardino that it's appreciating in value, and a tenant's paying for it, and a fourth property, well, it's actually a third in San Bernardino, and a tenant's paying for it. So between all of these assets, the one in San Francisco is currently worth about $530,000. The first one in San Bernardino is currently worth $190,000. That takes me from 530, 630, 730, 720. Then I bought the fourth property up there for $215. It's currently worth $220 or $230. So, now you're over $900,000, and the fifth property at $155 puts it at like 1.1. I think it's 1.1. Call it $1.1 million. And I just got out of prison 2.5 years ago. My total payments for those properties are $5,000 a month or $5,100 a month. But my total income from the tenants who are living in them is $6,800 a month. So every month, not only are these tenants giving me $6,800 a month, I'm able to use that $6,800 a month to pay down my mortgages, which are only $5,100, and I'm left with about $1,700 a month in my pocket, extra cash. And this is after taxes are all paid. So that $1,700 a month is free money, making money while I sleep. And in 15 years, all of those properties will be paid off, which is worth $1.1 million. That's how I was able to build an asset base. It's of properties that are worth more than $1 million within only 2.5 years of getting out of prison. What is the lesson here, my friends? The lesson here is if you prepare yourself well while you're in prison, that's when you can position yourself for success after prison. That's how I built assets that are worth more than $1 million within 2 years. It's really 2.5 years after my release from prison. I know that anybody can do this. I know because I walked into prison because of stupid decisions I made when I was 20 years old. And when I walked out of prison, I had a 0, 0, 0 credit score. But the decisions that I made while I was incarcerated positioned me for strength. Just as the decisions that you are making right now are positioning you for what you are going to experience in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And it's my hope that you will continue to participate in the Earning Freedom program, whether it's the Mastermind course, whether it is the Earning Freedom library of content that I provide where I'm interviewing other formerly incarcerated people or community leaders and sharing how they use these principles to overcome the struggles in their life. That's really what I'm focused on offering through this program, is this inspirational message that will show you what you can become. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I hope that you'll continue with the program and follow me on social media. If you're outside, you can do it anywhere, or just send me an email. Visit my website and send an email to Michael. Just visit michaelsantos.com and a website will pop up. Enter your email, and I'll send you a free digital copy of the book. Thanks so much. I'm Michael with michaelsantos.com, and I'll be back with the last episode of Success After Prison tomorrow. Thanks.